We are just 6 days away from the ICC T20 World Cup 2024. And we have the mighty South Africans this time around. I have Rohan with me. Rohan, welcome to the show. Every single time this team steps onto the field in an ICC tournament, on paper, they look very strong. How do you look into this time around again?
They're always like this so near yet so far kind of a bridesmaid, Pritham. They have all the ammunition, all the bases covered, but somehow that C word tag kind of keeps following them at the big pressure situation. I remember last T20 World Cup, they lost to Netherlands. I mean, that was
Exactly.
kind of a lifeline to the Kudrat Ka Nizam, which Pakistan was expecting. So they find ways sometimes to fall themselves, I feel always. But if you look at the quality of the side over the years, any format, I think they've always been a force to reckon with. Just that it's the mental ability or on that particular day, what happens is what's been their fate.
Absolutely, and that's what matters. At the end of the day, whether you cross the line or not is what South Africa matters, and we will see when it comes to the squad. Let's have a look into the squad for South Africa in T20 World Cup 2024. Starting with the top four players, Rohan, we have Riza Hendricks, Quinton de Kock once again back in the international circuit. We don't know whether he's going to retire anymore. Aiden Markram is there, and then Ryan Rickelton, a promising player, was part of the Mumbai Indians in the South African League as well. So if you can sum up the four players, I think this more or less looks like the top three, apart from Ryan Rickelton as well.
Yeah, especially the top three, as you rightly said, always been the gun players for South Africa. Especially QDK in his form was mixed at the IPL, but we do know he's always in the ICC events steps up. I think in the two T20 series that they're playing with the West Indies, he's doing reasonably well. Maybe not well supported at the
Absolutely.
other
He
end.
was not well supported, but the way he played in the second and third T20 was really promising.
Yeah, and even Riza Hendricks is on and off, but I think he doesn't get the due credit which he deserves at times. If you look at his stats, he's done reasonably well whenever he's given an opportunity. But thing is, maybe not as an impact so highly at the crucial moments. That's where I think is lacking a little bit. Markram always been there. I think the experience in IPL will definitely help him. Because he balls a little bit of his part-time
Yeah.
off spin also. So on those Caribbean pitches, I think he can be quite useful at the right time. Ryan Rickelton, promising player, but I'm not sure if he'll start out well, but he'll be always there as a backup wicket keeper too.
Absolutely. Backup wicketkeeper is there instead of Quinton de Kock. But a little bit of Riza Hendricks once again, Ron. I would ask you, was he really unlucky to not to play a single game in the T2023 Cricket World Cup just because it was the South African captain Temba Bavuma? Though he was unfit, he still played the semi-finals.
Yeah, I think there are lots of other things and factors there that determine the playing 11 or the 15 for a matter for the South Africans. The quota system at times does hurt them.
Yeah,
So I think
absolutely.
that could be one of the reasons. As I said, doesn't get the right amount of opportunity, but when he does get, he does make it count. But sometimes at the crucial moment, doesn't quite deliver when required. So I think that's on and off kind of things hurts any player end of the day, right? So if you're not a settled member of the squad, you may not be able to perform at your best always. So I think certain things are outside factors that influence a little bit, but he's a quality player, man.
Absolutely. He's a very quality player, and we can see him go all guns blazing at the top of the order alongside a Quinton de Kock. Going to the next four players is just six hitters out here, to be very honest. Henrik Klaassen, he doesn't need any introduction when it comes to T20 format. Like, I was a little bit disappointed not to see Killer Miller perform well in the IPL this season for the Gujarat Titans. He is a gun player as well. Tristan Stubb was fantastic for the Delhi Capitals this season. And then you go on to the batting all-rounder of Marco Jansen. So this is also promising 4, 5, 6, 7, I must tell you.
Again, see, Pritham, if you start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, if you go here, all are quality players and match winners on their own. But just that sometimes as a unit, they don't deliver at the
Correct.
right time. If you see someone like Klaassen, such a huge hitter, at the finals, he just didn't quite live up to the hype that was expected the day before, right? So I think Klaassen at times on the big stage also falters, maybe because of the mindset or what, or the typical South African C word that we keep on harping about. Miller, I
Absolutely.
think. I'm not sure if he was 100% there for the IPL in his physical ability. Was there any injury carrying or just not form? I'm not sure, but that wasn't the Miller that we are used to, those killer Miller sixes. And
Exactly.
maybe, yeah, maybe GT not performing as well. Maybe that could be a contribution to motivate himself also. But come the ICC events, these guys can perform. But again, as I always feel, at that crucial juncture, will they do it or not?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what it matters. Tristan Stubbs can be a very good finisher along with these players. But Marco Jansen, how much will he get assistance as you can potentially see the third seamer in the West Indian conditions?
Definitely, if they're playing a lot in your Barbados and all those kind of pitches, it has a little bit of extra bounce with the height factor that he has. He will be always be a threat. But again, he was a bit hot and cold during the IPL. Not sure if it was used properly. Has that long reach with batting too and can hit those powerful sixes. But at times, uh, just pushing outside off has been a tentative kind of his weakness. But that can be more test match weakness, you can say, rather than a T20 fault of his. But I think overall they're a gun team. I was really impressed with Tristan Stubbs, as you were saying to
Yeah,
the Delhi Capitals. I think the only guy who could almost straight away come and start hitting sixes,
correct.
which is the need of the modern game that's
Modern day
more
cricket,
highlighted. Yeah.
absolutely.
So I think Tristan Stubbs can be a X factor, but again, the experience on the big stage and in the West Indies may be a factor that he should look out for.
100%. So these four players are done and dusted. You've pretty much summed it up. Going to the next four, we're coming to the slow bowlers now. Keshav Maharaj in South West Indian condition. I think he's going to be a player to watch out for as well. Tabraiz Shamsi on the other hand. Then you go to the Bush Fortune, has played a very good cameo, a very good series against the West Indies recently. Then you go to Batman. I don't think so. He's going to get an opportunity when you have the big guns of the Pacers. But the slow bowlers can be effective in those conditions.
Definitely, especially Maharaj with the experience he did have with Rajasthan, and the pitches there will suit his, and he's pretty street smart bowler. So and also can contribute handy with the bat at times. But Shamsi with his left arm Chinaman, I think can be your wicket taking option in the middle overs. He does go for runs at times because not consistent with the line and length that he does, and
Yeah.
few loose balls on offer. And if you start attacking him, he kind of gives you those free runs as well. But if you are in your shell and not quite reading him or picking him up from his hand, he'll
That's where the
definitely,
mistake is.
yeah, that's where I think any spinner will be at his best. So I think Shamsi will be the wicketing option. I'm not sure whether they'll find the right combination to fit him. Because if they play on certain slow pitches like in Providence, that's Guyana or Trinidad or something like that, where the spinners will get more purchase, I think Shamsi and Maharaj can be
Maharaj
their
both
sure
should
shot.
play.
Yeah, beyond 14, I think
Absolutely.
he's always been this under the radar kind of a player. He balls in the power play, not much of a spin, but accurate kind of a spinner. Has a
Yeah.
good change of pace, very good arm ball, can be very useful. Again, if they play the third spinner at the right time, maybe can be your differentiator at times compared because uh, opposition teams will target always the main kind of bowlers and Fortune kind of slips
Yeah.
through. So he has that advantage. Othniel Bartman, as you rightly said, may not be part of the starting 11 to begin with, but he's a very good bowler, balls well at the death too, has that wicket taking knack at times, and he did well at the recent SAT 20 as well. So I think that's
Yeah.
where the selection helped him. But throughout the South African circles, his name has always been there in the last couple of years. Even red ball cricket, he has picked up wickets and so near so far with the test team too, but rightfully rewarded for the T20 squad, I feel.
Yeah, he's got an opportunity ahead of somebody like a Lungi Ngidi, which shows that the
Yeah.
capability. So you have more or less summed up the slower bowlers along with Batman, the only pacer in this slide. Now comes the three big guns. Surely a couple of them will play. Gerald Kodzi did not have the best of the season, but it was the debut IPL season for the Mumbai Indians, who as a team did not perform well, to be honest. Kagis Rabada, a real match in his own hands. Similarly, Andrik Nokia, does extra pace really help in these conditions? But he has been very, very expensive. You can see this series also in West Indian conditions, he's got almost to a 9 runs per over. That's not impressive because you need to have variations, but I doubt he has. Coming back from an injury, do you think that he will be effective in conditions like West Indies?
You rightly summed it up, Pritham. All three are big names, but didn't quite deliver at all in the IPL, either expensive or maybe form, fitness, maybe just not the right conditions for them. Rabada has been always a match winner for them in ICC events. He can step up, but I'm not
Correct.
sure if there is no enough support at the other end, how we will live up to the hype. We have seen certain teams play him out well and target the other guys. But if he himself has been put under the pump, I think he kind of gets rattled a bit, I feel. Podzia too has the variations. He's young, has the pace, but consistency is a factor. He kind of over experiments at times, doesn't
Yeah.
stick to what's working for him at times. Keeps sliding down the leg side, and that can be expensive in T20s. Nokia has been really disappointing for me. The way he was, I mean, he was retained at the capital side of Rabada, but still did quite live up to the hype, form factor, fitness factor, all these things. And as you said, that extra pace, I think batsmen are just using against him and easily playing away. Maybe that 2 3 years later, when you're used to a particular bowler, that's when your real test starts for him. So unless he gets variations in his game, I think he'll be a fodder in T20.
Absolutely. And just like I was just thinking about while you were speaking, players like Andrick Nokia, players like Lockie Ferguson, extra pace, but all of a sudden in these conditions, if you don't have variation, just like we saw in Nokia, similarly we saw in the knockout game for Lockie Ferguson, in due conditions, the ball slipping out of hand and then you're going to the beamers. That's very risky in this raw pace. That could be handy. That could prove to be the difference in those games. And that almost became against the Chennai Super Kings. But yes, summed it up the paces as well. We're done with the squads. Let's take a look into the fixtures for South African side. Coming out of the fixtures, it's the group of death, is what I've been told, really, because when I was doing the squad analysis for Bangladesh, I've been told it's a group of death because they have once again Netherlands in their yard. Then you have South Africa, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and Nepal. If you can just put aside Nepal, the rest of the three teams could be challenging for South Africa.
Maybe a week before I would have accepted this, Pritham, but the way Bangladesh performed against USA, are you really sure that they can be contenders? I mean, USA just literally swept them under the carpet, man. They were beaten black and blue, I feel. And Bangladesh, the kind of talent they have, maybe unless they have a strong leader to help them out,
Correct.
uh, it will be pretty easy. I feel again, disappointing tournament is what I focus for Bangladesh. Sri Lanka,
Because
we
in the
don't know.
third T20, USA dropped four of the key players. They rested them, and that's the reason why they won by 10 wickets. Otherwise, that could have been proven to be a tricky game as well.
I feel the coach of USA, is that Stuart Law. He was a former coach of Bangladesh. I think he wanted to just rub it into them, and he did a decent job. I can tell you for that. But for Bangladesh, I think it'll be a tough tournament. I really feel for them, but because they have a very good talent, Litan Das, Mushfiqur, Shakib.
Correct.
There's some world class players there, but not gelling at the right time for whatever reasons. That's off field like also. But let's. I'm not sure about how Bangladesh. Sri Lanka, I think, can be a potential banana skin for South
South
Africa,
Africa.
because Sri Lanka in ICC tournaments always steps up, irrespective of what form factor they're leading into it. Come the ICC tournaments, they do kind of have that giant killing ability. We have seen them beat England, we've seen them beat West Indies also at times. So you don't know what Sri Lanka can do. They can always be a surprise there because they do have the power hitters. And in these conditions, some good spinners like Asaranga, all those guys can be wicket taking. And we do know South Africa struggles against
Yeah.
quality spinners too. So that can be a potential tough game for them. Netherlands, not sure. Maybe a one-time lucky break or how they come, but Netherlands are well prepared. You can't underestimate them. It will be a good game because they will be feeling what happened last World Cup. We can recreate it again, so they will have that confidence. South Africa, if they are not careful, I think that can be another tough game for them. But I feel they can just get through because these new grounds in New York, you don't know how they'll be, and smaller grounds can help the bigger teams. I feel if it was a bigger ground and slowish pitch, maybe there the kind of
Correct.
gap reduces between the teams. But if it's a flat pitch and smallish grounds, the power hitters of South Africa can just dominate them at times. I feel Nepal. Congrats to them coming till this far, but I'm not sure if they'll be a real threat. But we do hope they do play well to their potential and show their skills as much as possible.
Correct. Because then you have a couple of sides like Netherlands, Bangladesh. Maybe they can fancy themselves. But yes, to be honest, but Rohan, one more thing. Do you think keeping aside India and Pakistan is Sri Lanka and Bangladesh next year Classico?
Yeah, definitely is, man. All those celebrations that we have seen in the formats that followed in the recent series, each one giving one up on the other. Uh, it looks good on the outside, but I'm not sure if you're a purist how you look at because it looks pretty kiddish at times. I think they can sort it out in a more mature way. I think it all
I don't
started.
think so. They will.
I know it won't, but it's good television. I'll see, and even for social media. I think it all started because of the timeout thing on Angelo Matthews
Yeah.
at Portla. Ever since, I think it's just been trying. I know it'll be a damn intense game for sure between Sri Lanka and Bangladesh. But if you are the neutral person, you will just sit back and enjoy it.
Absolutely. That's what we should. But you're saying South Africa have the potential to go through, and I won't be surprised if they do not. But we are done with that. Let's take a look into who are the leaders for South Africa in the T20 World Cup. Here are the leaders for them. They have Aiden Markram, Henry Klassen as the vice captain, and then Shukri Konrad as the coach. I'll come to Aiden Markram and Henry Klassen later, but if you can have a little bit of word about how do you look into Shukri Konrad leading the side as a head coach for the South African team?
The thing is, he's been thought of as like a very astute coach, but not much of a pedigree in terms of international experience for him. He's done well in domestic setups, but to get a bunch of stars to do well, you need a lot of man management skills. I think that's where the South Africa board is expecting him to deliver, but still the results are not showing much. So I'm not sure how long his stint will be there, but until they get a good replacement, possibly. But good luck to him. I think one thing which what I have heard is he's doing a lot of communication to the players in terms of how he looks at their selection or what they can do to improve and get back into the squad, especially the domestic players, the 18 players, etc. So I think that sense it's good, but his own ability also end of it requires to upgrade. Also, I feel the leaders. I
Absolutely.
think. Makram's been a gem of a person. Even when he was a short stint at Hyderabad, he did well at the IPL. For South Africa, also has done consistently well. But again, his core task will be to make sure that the quota thing doesn't affect his team combination, especially at the right moments, because we've seen those things affect them in key games like a semi-final or a knockout game. Anything, all these things add up. So end of the day, the burden of a South African captain is a lot on his plate, you can say, than any other teams. I know India has a lot of expectations, Australia, but a different kind of pressure for the South African skipper is always there. So I kind of empathy with him, but he's a quality player. He has done wonders in the under 19 setup where he won the World Cup for South Africa. So he has a talent, but how well he utilizes the resources will be his big test.
Absolutely. That's what it matters. We will see what South Africa do, how they marshal the troops. That's going to be important. We are done with the leaders. Let's take a look into the last three T20 World Cups and what has been the result for South African cricket. Here they have been in 2022. It was that Netherlands moment. They ended up in Super 12. 2021 Super 12. 2016 Super 10. Surprise, surprise. Such a promising side not making it to the semis or quarters. Disappointing seasons have been. Can they do better this time around?
Can you tell me who is the main person they are missing out in all these World Cups?
Because they had A.B. de Villiers every single time.
Yeah, but still they are not qualifying. Shows a lot, right? One man can't win you games or getting into qualifications for the playoffs. So that shows as a unit they are not delivering at the key moments. So unless all these things fall into place, I really feel them not going through. Though they have all the talent in the world, all the big hitters, etc. As a unit, they are failing. That's been the hallmark for this team, as you rightly said. Just super tens and 12s throughout for a quality team like South Africa, and they're having a lot of pride in their sporting culture. Still, despite all that, they're showcasing in this kind of a ladder. It shows something's wrong there.
Absolutely, that's what is a concern. But I was seeing in the 2016 picture, I can see Faf du Plessis out there. You being an RCE fan, do you think South Africa missed out on having him as part of the squad?
Again, certain outside factors we can't control, right? Maybe on paper, on form, definitely Faf would have been a good guy to have, if not even lead in T20s, because he's damn fit, in form, and he knows how to handle this bunch of players previously too. So I think you need a mature leader at times when the going gets tough. Just an example, like RCB were number 10 with just one win, but
Yeah,
you need that leader to step up and motivate. And even his example on the field, his fielding, his
correct.
catching,
That's what.
when you showcase that thing, that's how the players get motivated as well. So you need a strong leader who kind of executes his skills, who walks the talk. Basically, you need those guys to step up at key moments, which South Africa has been lacking for the last 5 6 years, I feel. Until things get back into shape, I really feel they're tough to get through.
Absolutely. But I still think comparatively, Aiden Markram is a good leader. How can he take it forward for the South African side? Can he become that man who's making history for them? Is going to be something we have to look into. We're done with this. Let's take a look into the top five players to watch out for. Here are the five players I have chosen: Rohan, Quinton de Kock, David Miller, Henrik Klassen, Keshav Maharaj, and Kagiso Rabada. Five players, five match winners on their given day. Do you have any other player that may come into your mind you want to have here? Maybe a Stubbs, maybe a Shamsi. Give your shots, please.
I definitely wanted to put Shamsi in there because the kind of pitches that they will be playing on, Aris spinner is always a trump card, I feel, and can get you wickets at times, but can be expensive bowler there as well. But Shamsi has that wicket, and he has played a lot of CPL, has that experience playing there. I think that's where someone like Shamsi can be your X factor on the day.
Mhm.
Maharaj has been your. He's very consistent. He may not get you those 3-4 wickets at a stretch to in one spell or not. He can be economical at times. But Shamsi is your match
Exactly.
winner. And I
Wicket
feel
taker.
unless you have good match winners, especially the bowlers, it will be difficult for you to win the tournaments. Classic example was KKR. You are picking wickets in the middle. Uh, until you have that formidable bowling attack, it will be tough for you to win tournaments. So, because you can't always rely on Rabada or not Gay. You need other spinners to also chip in because of the nature of pitches in the West Indies.
Exactly. Exactly, and I think for them in the middle overs, not just the two spinners for Kolkata Knight Riders, but Andrew Russell, the trump card, always picked wicket when he was handed over the ball. So we are done with that. The champions of 2024 IPL, Kolkata Knight Riders, come back to the World Cup, ladies and gentlemen. We're done with the South African team and the top five players to watch out for. Let's go on to the predicted playing 11 and see what South Africa holds like as a unit. Yeah, it is my predicted playing 11, Rohan. I have Quinton de Kock, Reza Hendricks at the opener, Aiden Markram at number 3, Hendrik Klaassen, David Miller, Tristan Stubbs, Marco Janssen as the all-rounders. Then I've got Keshav Maharaj and Samsi as my two spinners, alongside Kagiso Rabada and Henrik Nokia as my pacers. Here sums it up. Do you want to see something different? Maybe a Nokia dropped and Gerald Kodzi in? Or do you want experience ahead of this? Three pacers, two spinners, alongside maybe Markram as the sixth bowler? What's your take?
Yeah, as you said, you can have one more pacer in Kotzia for a spinner at times, depending on the pitch and the opposition. There's one more guy whom they may use a bit is Pelukwayo, the all-rounder at
But he's
times.
not part of the squad,
He's not part
unfortunately.
of the squad. Earlier used to, so I'm thinking who will be that kind of link between the top order and the link. But since he isn't there because they invested a lot in him, he was neither delivering with the bat or the ball. So I think that's
He
where
was the man of the match in the first T20 and then went traveling in
missing.
the remaining two
Yeah,
T20 in the bat of Kyle Mayers or the other hitters.
so that's why he wasn't consistent. I think that's why the reason he was omitted. But I feel someone like Jansen still not delivered to the potential that he has because of maybe lack of experience or game time on field, and or maybe dropping, not getting a consistent run. But overall, the
Correct.
only change I feel is maybe Kodzia for Shamsi in case the pitch or the conditions demand it, or else the
Only
11 or 12.
according to the conditions.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So Rohan sums it up. Only according to the conditions, he may go on to may have four paces and a single spinner. We're done with this. Now it comes the predictions of Rohan. What has he made for the semi-finalists? Let's have a look. Here it is, Rohan, against everybody. You can see on your screen as well. Everyone has predicted. Here it is. You are matching with Siddhanshu, to be honest. You've gone with India, Australia, England, and West Indies. Most of them have picked West Indies. Most of them have picked Australia, India. England has been the difference. Some of them has gone with South Africa. Some of them have gone for Pakistan. Only Deep Prakash has gone for India, New Zealand. I'm sorry. So it pretty much sums it up. The reason behind you have not gone for South Africa, New Zealand, Pakistan. Please let me explain it, please.
Basically, was the conditions and how the groupings can end up with is what I kind of tried to see what can happen. It was a bit close for me with respect to Pakistan or England. Then had to go England, as you said, because Pakistan and England, that match will be pretty crucial where they'll play. I was expecting it could be at Barbados maybe, which has a decent bounce, may suit the English attacking game a
Mhm.
lot more. If it was more other grounds, could have been Pakistan. Just for that one differentiator, maybe England was the fourth pick, or else West Indies at home. I feel always will be a threat in T20s. The guys like
Absolutely.
all of them are match winners, man. I
What
think
a
they're.
side they have. My goodness me.
I am not sure for what reasons, but for me, the number one pick would have been Sunil Narayan, the MVP of
Absolutely.
IPL. I think that guy is a gun all rounder now is what I can say with the bat, with the ball. He's a match winner, man. I'm not sure what's happening with the WICB there, but I don't know. They tried with Russell, they with Powell, with Bravo, all tried to persuade him, but he isn't budging. But
Yeah,
anyway,
he has blocked everyone.
it's not. But that shows the strength of the T20 side they have, man. Even with that Narayan, there's still potential
And without Kyle Mayers as well.
without Kyle Mayes. Yeah, he's in the reserves, by the way, right? Adreras, all these are match winners. Whom do you drop? If you get one, the other comes in. That's the kind of a
Absolutely.
powerhouse batting they have. Only weakness could have been the bowlers, the bowling setup. If Narayan was saying, that would have been the complete set, I felt. So, West Indies, that's the reason only for me, the powerhouse they have for me to be in the semis. Australia and India. no brainer, man. I mean, for all the tournaments that are happening, these two guys are going at it. Maybe end of the day, one more finals, hopefully, and this time the result to be different.
Result to be different. I must tell you, Rohan, the Australian players were 3 days extra in the IPLs, while all the Indian players were already in the US. So extra 3 days might just help Indians, while the Australian players were having playing the IPL final. We're done with this. Let's take a look into now as we move on to the predictions is done. Let's see what Rohan has when it comes to his top run scorers and the wicket takers. Rohan, you've gone with Virat Kohli and Adam Zampa, pretty much similar to what the others have to say. Jian said the same as well. So what's your reason behind it? Why do you want to go with Adam Zampa and Virat Kohli? Spinner, why not a Kuldeep Yadav?
I just look. I would been very tempted to go with a Bumrah or a Kuldeep, but I'm not sure how many games Kuldeep may get depending on the conditions because they may rotate with Jaddu, Akshar, Chahal is there. So if a consistent run is there for him, Kuldeep definitely would have been a pick. But given the pitches and conditions, a wrist spinner maybe or a wicket taker. And Australia, especially Zampa, has that knack that once he gets one or two, he kind of runs through with 4 and 5 in 3-4 games on the trot. So I think that's where Zampa tilted that for me, or else I would definitely love to have a Jassi there. But just because of the nature of pitches, I went by and the kind of oppositions they may encounter coming through the league stage as well. Even someone like a Hasaranga was in my mind. I felt Sri Lanka
Okay.
generally run through the minnow teams at times and just gobble them up, right? Hasaranga with a five
But
or
the
six.
way he used his contract, I must salute him to be very honest. The way he used his brains to use the contract to be available for the T20 World Cup, salute to you, Hasaranga. But you've gone with a spinner, and it's
Yeah.
an Australian spinner. You've got to be an Indian batsman. He's always been the top leading top run scorer in the tournament every time he has played the T20 World Cup or the ODI World Cup. So you're going with an Indian Australia. You
More
just
than
said in
that,
the previous
I felt it was the form, the way, the intent, and of course the strike rate, which
the
everybody was
intent.
talking. So I think just to answer a lot of them, I think he has delivered with the bat. So I think that form may just continue, and Virat Kohli scoring runs is happy news for any Indian fan.
Absolutely, it's a happy news, and I just don't want to get into because there are many people who are getting jealous. Even some of the experts of CSK were getting jealous, saying that Orange cannot give you a trophy. I just keep it up to there because you cannot teach somebody who's been delivering constantly for 15 years. We're done with this. Let's take a look into what is the predictions for the T20 World Cup 2024. Who does Rohan think will be the champions? It's a no-brainer from an Indian coming up, but do you think after 17 years, do you have the belief India can get a T20 World Cup?
See, belief is there and expectations are there, but sometimes you feel there should be no hype around it or all this stuff. But an Indian team, even if you play on the moon, I think we'll be favorites to win, right? So that's the kind of expectations are there. The fans want it more than anything. We look at all the little stats, intricacies. Who is the umpire? Who is the opposition captain? All those things need to be in our favor. We feel, but at the end of the day, it's a game. I think if you plan well, execute well, a little bit of luck. That's what I think at times has been our undoing for last decade or so. If you get that little bit of extra luck, positive energy will definitely be there. And one thing that can suit India is a time zone. Since it's the West Indies, it can be in the early mornings. Dew may not be a factor, so that the toss also can be ruled out. If you plan well, if you execute your skills, and you are good on the day, you can win. So I think man to man, this Indian team has that skill to win. So since the due factor can be ruled out, I think that's the only reason I felt.
Yeah.
If there was any such things, again, as I said, the luck factor can come through and anybody can overpower you. But I feel since the timings was the key here, that's why I felt India could do it.
Okay, that's why you felt India could do it. We are very much right there. We're done with the T20 World Cup 2024 prediction from Rohan. It's time for the trivia question out here for Rohan. Let's take a look at the trivia question for South Africa. Rohan, is the only question we have for you. It's going back to that game you started off at the beginning of the show. The Netherlands defeated South Africa in 2022. Where was the match held? You have four options out here. Is it Hobart? Is it Perth? It is the SCG Sydney, or is it Adelaide?
It was not Sydney and Perth. It could be either Adelaide or Hobart. I feel. Where was that? It was a small ground. So
That's the reason why I gave a little bit of confusion out here.
uh, I'll go Adelaide maybe.
You're going Adelaide, an iconic stadium which has always made records. Final answer, Adelaide?
Yeah, stick to Adelaide maybe. Hope
Okay,
for
you're
the best.
sticking to Adelaide. It was against Hobart, to be very honest. But the right answer It is the Adelaide Cricket Stadium where South Africa and Netherlands played and Netherlands defeated the South Africans. Rightly predicted. Thank you so much, Rohan. Thank you for this. This concludes the show. It's wonderful, as always, with you. South Africa's T20 squad analysis is done and dusted, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget to subscribe to Fifth Umpire. Press the bell icon as well. Thank you so much, and bye-bye.